morning, everyone, and thank you for grooving along with me, classes. That was magnificent. A big welcome in coast to coast and beyond today for another exciting Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants broadcast. As you'll know, we've got a lot of familiar faces in the crowd. We are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. And today, we are continuing the best series ever, the Cross Canada Virtual Road Trip. If you've been joining us over the last few weeks, we have gone to Kluane, Fort Rod Hill. We've been to Sauguenay St. Lawrence. We've been all over Canada, and we've got so many more amazing programs to come on this road trip. It is so exciting every single year to get to partner with the amazing folks at Parks Canada and Canadian Geographic Education to feature some of the coolest places, not just in Canada, but on planet Earth. And it's so special, and we want to say a big thank you to all of you as an audience today for joining us. Now, 2 quick notes. Number 1, I will put this link in your email at the end of the broadcast. If you want to follow along, quick survey to win some cool prizes just for tuning in today, be sure to check that out. We're also going to have a cahoot today. So if you're joining us live on StreamYard, if you're on YouTube and you want to play along with a little 4-question quiz, you can pull up that game pin. 20-25 minutes, we'll get around to that. We're also going to have some interactive bits today. So live classes, unmute your mics. YouTubers, get your fingers at the trigger ready to answer. We are going to have some moments where we're asking you some questions today, which is always more fun. Now, I am joined live today by the delightful Valerie. She is joining us at Wapusk National Park to talk about the magic of hearing things in the Arctic. Hearing the magic of the Arctic. We are going to learn about some of the coolest animals that occupy our north, one of the biggest regions on planet Earth, one of the most untrainable regions on planet Earth, and some of the incredible wildlife that live there from sound. So if you've ever wondered what maybe caribou or moose or polar bear or other amazing creatures sound like, we're going to learn a little bit about that today. I'm going to stop talking and giving away her thunder. Valerie, welcome to the broadcast. It's so nice to have you today, and thank you for bringing this great park to us.
Thank you so much, Jesse. I just want to make sure, can we see my slides and everything?
We can see your slides. Okay. We are so good to go. I can hardly stand it. Take us away.
Perfect. Thank you again. So hi, everybody. My name is Valerie. I am a public outreach and education officer within Manitoba, but my main job is to tell people about Wapusk National Park, its animals, its history. So I'm really glad you guys are all here, and we'll just hear the magic of the Arctic. And then we also have Parka here. So Parka is Parks Canada's mascot, and you'll see her a bit throughout the presentation. All right, so here's a picture of Canada. You may see your province on the map, and you can see that there's many different national historic sites, national parks, and national marine conservation areas. But today we'll focus on Manitoba, specifically Wapusk National Park. So we can see that there are 2 national parks in Manitoba. So there's one in the south here, one up north. So do we think we know which one is Wapusk? Let's see.
I think we might.
Here we go. So Wapusk is up north, but let's see a little bit closer. All right. So there are many cool things you can see up in northern Manitoba. In terms of Parks Canada, there are 2 historic sites, Prince of Wales Fort, which is on top here, and York Factory, as well as the big national park, which is Wapusk National Park. National Park is so big that it's bigger than countries like Jamaica and Puerto Rico. This is also a good time to acknowledge the land in which Wapusk sits on. So while I'm in Winnipeg, I am presenting to you from Treaty Number 1 territory. So the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Red River Métis. Wapusk National Park sits within Treaty 5 territory, and it is on the land traditionally used by the Cree, Dene, Inuit, and Red River Métis peoples. And then we have the sign, which is in Wapusk National Park. Not many people get to see it, so I wanted to add a photo of it. All right, so here are some pictures of Wapusk. We have Parka camping there. What kind of animals do we think live there just by looking at it? Are we thinking hippos? Are we thinking elephants, mountain goats, kangaroos? No. What do we think? Maybe some fish? We see that blue water over here, but I'll show you another picture and it might change your mind. So are we thinking different animals now? Again, we see Parka hiking. So here's a hint though. Wapusk is not your typical national park, so you can't just visit it. You can't go camping, canoeing, and get an ice cream cone. Instead, Wapusk is a research park, and only researchers can go into the park to help maintain it and study it. So we'll start learning more about the animals that live here. All right, so let's start. I'll be playing a few sounds, and there will also be a riddle on each slide. Your job is, as a classroom, is to figure out what animal is making that sound. As a group, select an animal or just individually on the chat. And a few classrooms also get the chance to come on camera and share what animal they think is being represented. Remember, these are all animals that live in northern Manitoba in Wapusk, so probably not a kangaroo like I was saying earlier. All right, so here's the first riddle. You can find me in your city or in the Arctic where it's pretty chilly. I make more than 20 different calls, but people often say I sound like a screaming lady. Dogs, wolves, and coyotes are my cousin, and I'd eat everything. I'm not too picky. I'm wondering if you guys already know what it is just by the riddle, but here, we're going to play the sound.
Okay. Terrifying.
Here, I'll play it a second time just in case your volumes ran up. So let's hear it one more time. And it is a bit of a tricky sound.
Ooh.
So make your guesses in the chat. Jesse, are people guessing?
Yeah. Well, we have some YouTube ones. I can head to our live classes too. You know what? We've got some really involved and engaged classes. They're like right at the camera, so I can go to them and check it out, Valerie, if that works.
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it. Miss Mustard, what do you guys think?
Okay.
Arctic Fox. Miss Smith, what do you guys think? Same thing or different? Arctic Fox. They're losing their minds. Yes, I think they might be right.
That's interesting. I will say you're not quite right, but you're also not wrong. Too wrong. Let's see what animal it is. The red fox. So you guys you're really close with the Arctic fox. So the red fox is an amazing animal as it can live in different climates and eat different foods. Their favorite meals are small mammals and birds' eggs. Despite their name, red foxes are not always red, so it's pretty orange in this picture, but also kind of brownish here. They can also be lighter brown with darker markings, but whatever color they are, you can tell they're red by their white tip at the end of their tail. You can kind of see it here, this middle picture. All right, good job, though. Here's our next animal. So, though I'm vegetarian, I weigh over 1,000 pounds, and while I typically travel alone, I can cover a whole lot of ground. I'm really fast and can outrun you, and yes, I am bigger than your car. That is true. So this is probably a really big animal. Let's hear the sound. All right, here's another hint. If you need just a bit more before I reveal the answer, this animal does have antlers.
Okay. Another creature I don't want to run into in a dark alley, by the way. You've got YouTubers. They've already, I think, got this correct. Miss Smith, I'll come to you first. Yell us out this time. Caribou. Very good guess. We've got a few different folks on YouTube. Miss Mustard, I'll head to you guys as well. What do you think? Oh, we've got caribou versus moose. That classic battle. What's our answer? YouTube is definitely saying moose.
Okay. Let's see. Great job. And you were still close with the caribou, still part of the same family. So moose are, the animal's a moose. The moose are the giants of Wapusk and typically wander alone. Though they are so big, they're still preyed upon by various other species in the park that we'll talk about soon. Moose are an important resource to both Dene and Cree people in this region of Manitoba. Every part of the moose is utilized, so the hide is made for clothing and the meat is eaten. However, the moose population is declining due to habitat loss, parasites, diseases, climate change, and other factors. So we definitely want to protect them right now. But they're huge giants. All right, let's see our next animal. So from Nunavut, I traveled to Wapusk alone, becoming the second largest carnivore in the park to roam. In late October and November, I fall into a deep sleep where I lose a lot of my fat. But I awake if there's a lot of noise outside. I've got the ears of a cat. All right, here's the sound. Do we think I should play it a second time?
I think so. We just want to hear it.
Let's do it.
It's wild.
All right.
All right.
Definitely a bigger animal. Probably not like a skunk or something.
I don't think so. I would be if skunk sounded like that, I would have left my old home in Toronto much faster. So our first guest on YouTube is Ms. O'Brien's class. They say polar bear. Could well be. We got polar bear a bunch on YouTube. Does anyone else? Do you guys agree in Miss Mustard's class? What do we think? A lot of polar bear, Miss Smith.
Eric?
Brown bear.
Brown bear. Interesting. We've got so all polar bear except for our one student in Miss Smith's class, and I think there might be something in this clue that Valerie. Let's tell us more.
I will say this is a bear. It is a species of the brown bear. So let's see what kind it is. The barren ground grizzly bear. So great job. Grizzly bears have only been seen in the park since the mid-90s, only about 30 years, so really recently. These bears are omnivores, so they eat caribou, small mammals, birds, seals, whales, grass, berries. They eat everything. They have large heads, long snouts, and small round ears. And they're also distinguishable by their hump on their shoulders, which is actually a really big muscle. But they're very big. They look kind of cute, but they're very ferocious, right? So that's our grizzly bear. We've only seen a few of them in the park, so we're not actually quite sure how many there are. All right. So we have Parka here with the Canadian flag, so maybe that's a hint. But here's the riddle. I'm so important that I'm on a Canadian coin. The bugs can be persistent, so we like to stay together and huddle. Come join. Some of you may see me in December, and one of us has a red nose. Remember? A red nose. Let's see the sound. So this one's tricky because there's a lot in the sound clip. It's not just one of them.
Okay, so a group of animals. They're on a Canadian coin and red nose. Miss Smith, will head to you first this time.
All right. What do we think, guys?
Beaver, caribou. We got a few things. You guys are good in the Canadian coin. It's not a schooner. It's not the blue nose. We promise. Okay, not that one. We've got caribou reindeer universally on YouTube, which I think might be on the nose, Valerie. That's pretty
good job on the red nose. So this is the caribou. We have about 2,500 caribou that come through Wapusk every year. So like moose, caribou are very important to the Indigenous communities in the north and are also unfortunately affected by climate change. So caribou provides food, clothing, tools, and more. Their meat can be eaten in so many ways that provide very important nutrients. Caribou hide makes excellent warm winter clothing, including coats, pants, mittens, and more. And caribou hide can make shelters, sleeping mats, and floor mats, and the bones can be also used to make different tools. So some of you have said reindeer when guessing the caribou. So though they're the same animal, they have different names depending on where and how they live. So in Canada, we call them caribou because they're normally wild and roam free here. But in other countries, like in European countries, reindeers may be domesticated. So their reindeer may be used to help with carrying and transporting things and also for their meat and whatnot. So good job, guys. All right. Here's another animal. Here's a riddle. I have the warmest fur of any animal found in the Arctic. It's quite a cool trick. Our favorite meal are lemmings, and if there aren't many, our population starts shedding. My fur changes every winter and summer, but it's always such a pretty color. All right, let's see. So this may be the trickiest sound so far.
Sounds like a monkey to me, but I know we don't have those up there. There are no monkeys in Wapusk National Park, I can assure you. Miss Mustard's class, do you want to chime in with this one first?
Okay. They think it's some sort of snow creature. We have snow owl. I think we've had snow wolf. An otter.
Otter? Owl? Okay, very interesting. Like, I have no idea. I actually did not check this in advance, so I do not know. Miss Class, what do we think?
Snowy owl.
Snowy owl. They're very confident. They're like through it. And then YouTube, just for good measure, Arctic fox. So we're going back to foxes, maybe. What do we think, Valerie? Is a good guess.
Right. Let's check it. Actually, here, I'll play the sound I'll play it after we see the animal so you can kind of picture it all together. So here's the animal.
Oh,
The
nice.
Arctic fox. So good job on YouTube. Here, I'll play the sound one more time.
So different than the red fox. Like, it really threw me off too. Yeah.
It is. So Arctic foxes are specifically adapted to life in the north in the colder regions. But in the warmest seasons, the Arctic fox and red fox habitate in the same environment. They, like the red fox, eat bird eggs and small mammals like lemmings. And the Arctic fox is smaller than the red fox, but its coat also changes color. So you can see here it's a bit more brown. So in the winter, their white coat helps them blend in the snow, and in the summer, they turn brown and can again camouflage with their surroundings. But they're very, very cute animals. And it's also, I always say this, that it's really interesting how they have the warmest fur, because you would usually think they'd be a bigger animal, but Arctic fox's fur is so incredibly warm and fluffy. All right. So I travel in a pack, so someone always has my back. I prey on larger animals like moose, caribou, and even bears. My sense of smell, nothing compares. I whimper, growl, howl, and bark, and I especially love to hunt in the dark. So I have two sounds here. One might stump you, so let's play the first one. Do we have any guesses with that first sound?
Ooh, let's see. No one on YouTube yet. Miss
No.
Midland, you first.
I think it's an Arctic wolf.
Arctic wolf. Very confident. You guys are like, just like, yes, it's this. Got it. Miss Mustard, what do you guys think? Same deal? You guys are nuts. I love it. All right, wolf. Everyone's saying wolf. I think you should play the second sound.
All right,
first,
let's
they're
see.
pretty on the ball. Yeah.
Good job. So that is the gray wolf. All right. So wolves live and hunt in packs of up to 12 or more. Wolves are predators for many species, including birds, small mammals, caribou, and moose. In Wapusk, wolves are sometimes bold enough to prey on one of the largest animals in the park, which we'll talk about soon. How can a wolf take down animals as big as a moose? By working together, they can take down prey 10 times their size. When preying on caribou, for example, packs will follow herds and prey on the smaller and weaker caribou, like young caribou, which are called calves, or the older ones that are a bit far behind their herd. All right. So this one I think will stump you. So I'm ferocious with long, sharp claws, and I of course have a strong jaw. Though I'm not too big and not too small, I fight bigger animals for their food. I'm never afraid of a brawl. Here's the sound.
I think I heard that in Jurassic Park, actually. That sound, I think that's what it's from. It's from the movie. Clearly, that's a dinosaur. No, that can't be a living thing. Let's play it one more time, and then we'll go to our classes. Oh, it's magnificent. Okay, Ms. Mustard, I'm gonna head to you guys first. What do you think?
Woof, Wolverine!
Whoa, Miss Smith, you're nodding. Yeah, you think the same?
Wolverine.
Wolverine on YouTube too. Valerie, you said you were gonna stump them. What's going on? I think this might be right.
I mean, I thought this was gonna be a hard one. I at your age, I wouldn't have known it's a Wolverine. So good job, everybody. That is the Wolverine.
Nice.
So, Wolverines are the largest members of the weasel family. Other members of this family are skunks and otters. They are a solitary animal that roam alone. They're elusive and very rare to see, so hence the photos. These photos are from Wapusk National Park, but this one on top I actually had to find because we don't have a great picture of them. They're dark, they're very hard to see, but if you see one, you'll know. They're dark, quick, muscular, and have sharp teeth. They're known for being very ferocious, and they compete for food with larger animals like bears and wolves. Wolverines find food by preying on smaller mammals and can take down larger animals like caribou. Good job. All right, so this is our final animal today. Here's the riddle. Here I am royalty in this park. I leave quite the mark. I have webbed paws and powerful claws. People travel from far and wide to get a glimpse of me, but seeing me from far and in a safe way is key. All right, here's the sound.
So excited. I want to stress, sorry, in advance, kids. Professional detachment out the window, okay? I did not listen to all these with Valerie in advance. These are like the greatest audio recordings of all time. Like, they're so over the top and magnificent. I love it. Miss Smith, we'll head to you first.
Polar bear.
Polar bear. Miss Mustard, yes? Polar bear. YouTube, polar bear. Miss Hunter, Miss Backmeyer's class. Everyone's saying polar bear. I think that's the royalty of the park, Valerie. I think they got it.
Good job. So you guys were all right. We have the polar bear. So you may be wondering why Wapusk is there as well, because Wapusk actually means white bear in Cree. So it makes sense why we call it Wapusk National Park. Wapusk is one of the largest maternity denning areas in the world. This means that within the park, many female polar bears are creating shelters in which they have their cubs, often twins or even triplets. So we actually have twins right here. Moms enter the dens in late October, give birth in either December or January, and exit the den with their newborns in March or April. So many new cubs are seeing Wapusk for the first time as we speak. Female polar bears have cubs every 2 to 3 years. And polar bears love seals and hunt them on the sea ice. During the summer, while they wait for the sea ice again to hunt seals, polar bears fast. So good job, everybody. All right, so since Wapusk was designated as a national park to first protect polar bears, I thought we might as well add some more pictures. And if you're wondering, there's about 900 polar bears in Wapusk. And these are all pictures of polar bears in our actual national park. So we have the mom with the twins. We have a curious bear, more curious bear, and a very curious bear over here. All right. So, remember I said at the start of the presentation that you can't just visit Wapusk to go camping or shopping. If we can't go into the park, how do you know how the animals are doing? Parks Canada scientists across the country monitor animals in the parks. In Wapusk, our scientists use many tools to monitor animals from a safe distance to protect themselves and the animals because we wouldn't want to disturb them. So, I'll play this really quick clip here, and you let me know what kind of monitoring tool you can see. You definitely have to look pretty closely, okay?
I think we got a
Jesse,
little
could you let
glimmer.
Yeah, could you let me know if people have been guessing?
Yeah, let's see. YouTubers, if you guys want to chime in. Miss Mustard, Miss Smith, did anyone see the thing there? I'll head to Miss Mustard first this time.
Okay, I've got a friend that noticed it first.
Like a thing around the neck.
A thing around the neck. I think that might be spot on, Valerie. They're like, the kids know everything these days.
They do. Good job. So I have a polar bear tracking collar in my hand here. So it's pretty big, bigger than my head, I believe. Yeah, bigger than my head. So we put these on some of the polar bears in our national park, but they can only fit on the female polar bear since the males are way too big. These are just like putting a collar on your dog. It doesn't hurt them. It actually comes off automatically after a few years through satellite. So this is how we know where they're going, if they're safe, when they're giving birth, where they're eating in the park. So it's a really cool tool. And again, it's not too heavy. But we also have different ways that we are able to track the bears now. You saw the cameras. We also are able to tag them with their hair, but they're all harmless. Yeah, good job, everyone.
Very cool.
All right. So, all the animals have something in common. We can see that the animals are looking into and sniffing something. So, what do we think that is? The animals are looking into trail cameras installed by your teams. So, without these photos, we wouldn't be able to know what animals are in the park, how they're doing, and where they're going. So, here's a photo of our scientists in Wapusk making sure that the cameras are up and running. They're pretty small. The trail cameras are great tools as it takes thousands of photos. It takes thousands of photos, and that's how we know where the animals are going in the park and whether they look healthy or not. So you can see the caribou especially is very interested in this weird camera that's in the middle of their home. All right. So not all animals will pass by a trail camera. So what are other ways of knowing where they are without being on the grounds? Aerial surveys. Our team will circle the park in a helicopter and point out what animals they see. So they'll also take pictures like this to later count how many animals they've seen. You'll be a scientist today, and you'll let me know how many polar bears you see in this photo. And I'll give you a bit closer. So how many polar bears do we think are in this photo?
All right. I'm peering too. I don't know the answer to this. I see a bunch of, they look very lazy. They're like very stretched out there. Anyone on YouTube want to chime in? Miss Smith's class, if you guys want to chime in, we got 2 on YouTube. Is one guess Miss Smith?
2.
2, okay. Miss Mustard, what do we think?
I think the majority here, I think, are about 7.
7. Ooh, big gaps. 2 and 7. I think there's 5, and then there's a rock, is what I think I see.
This white area with all the rocks might be tricky too, but let's see. All right. So we're on our way trying to look for the first one. There's our first. Let's see if there's any more.
I saw that one. That's a good sign. And
2. What's the one that's laying down?
Ooh.
3. Oh, that's a good one. It kind of looks like a rock. So that's a good one. Let's see if there's a 4th one. Oh, this one's really scanning the area.
Just like Parks Canada does. Where are they?
We've got 4 so far. Let's see if there's any other ones.
Ooh.
Let's see. Oh, we've already gotten that one. So let's see if we can find another.
Yep. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. A bunch of people are saying 5 now. They've gone to my answer.
5.
Three beside our
see this one too.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Have you seen that one too?
Yeah. Covered all these already.
Woo! A little frantic now. Okay, I think it needs to go just a little bit to the right. Well, let's see if it catches it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's scanning the rocks.
Don't tell me there's one in there. Terrifying. That's a rock.
That is a rock. That can't be going there. Let's see. And there we go. So for those who Those who voted 5 were right. So there are 5 polar bears in this picture. We also have pictures with thousands or a few thousands caribou in the picture as well. So those get even harder. But good job, everybody. All right, so these are pictures of our scientists in Wapusk. So this first one, they're monitoring and measuring snowpack in the park. So snow provides us info on the impacts of climate change and the health of the park. Number 2, they're checking out trail cameras to see what wildlife visits and when we're not around. Number 3, hauling fuel into the park in the winter allows them to complete work by helicopter in the summer. Number 4, they're collecting water samples to better understand wetland dynamics. And then number 5, they're filtering water samples to detect fish species. And the 6, they're setting up trail cameras on golden eagle nests so we can know how they're doing. Here's also just an aerial view of one of the fence compounds. So this is Nestor 1. It's a fence compound that allows 20 people to sleep in the park. This is where scientists sleep for days when they're conducting research. In the winter, if they were to leave from our visitor center by Ski-Doo, it would take about 3 hours to get here. But by helicopter in the summer, it takes about 25 minutes. So this is right in the middle of the park, and this is the only way you can sleep there. But of course, you have to be a scientist or be there with scientists. And of course, there's a bunch of different other animals in Wapusk. So in the top left, we have a sandhill crane. In the middle, an eagle. Then we have swans, and we have some belugas. And then we also have seals as well. There's about 3,000 to 5,000 beluga whales that come through Wapusk, and then we have 4 different species of seals. But that's it for our presentation. I hope you all learned something and it was fun. Thank you.
That was magnificent, and thank you for playing along so well. You guys are an awesome audience today. You guys rock. And we're going to dive in with our cahoot and then our questions together. So, yeah, we're going to dive in. Valerie, if you've never seen a cahoot before, the faster our kids answer, the more points they get. And what we're going to do is they win our everlasting respect if they win the cahoot. And if you want to give us little hints when there's a few seconds left in each question, by all means, sort of chime in with a little bit of extra bonus help for our classrooms. Feel free to get this up. The game pin is on screen, and if you just want to yell out the answers in your class, that is totally fine. But we are going to dive in soon, and then Miss Mustard, I'm coming to you first. Your questions, YouTubers, you guys can start sharing them anytime. Miss Smith, we're going to take as many as we next 10 minutes. All right, let's do this thing. Here we go. Hearing the magic of the Arctic. Dun, 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 dun. All right, question 1. What animal has the warmest fur of any animal found in northern Manitoba? This was in one of the riddles. Is it polar bear, caribou, Arctic fox, or moose? And I very deliberately gave you a totally useless picture to help me figure this out. Maybe not totally useless. Maybe it narrows it down a little bit. What do we
The one
think?
thing I'll say is, remember I said it was a pretty small animal, so it's pretty amazing that it has the warmest fur.
Ooh, a lot of people thought polar bear, but Arctic fox is our correct answer. Way to go, everybody. You need to have that warm fur to help keep you warm when you're tinier. Polar bears are a little bit bigger, and they maintain their heat a little bit better than the Arctic fox does. It's a really good guess, everybody. True or false? Wolves travel in packs. I expect 100% correct on this one. I put a picture of a lone wolf, maybe to throw you off the scent, perhaps. Literally and figuratively. All right. What do we think? When we've seen pictures of wolves before, videos of wolves, are they together or are they alone? They are together, yes. There are some wolves that in pictures like that are alone. You can take a picture of one, but wolves travel in packs. It's one of their defining features. Very cool. All right, fabulous horse comes second behind Fuzzy Macaw, the least Arctic animal in the world. All right, what does mean in Cree? We talked about this. We had a little slide about it. Is it snowy? Is it white land? Is it white bear? Or is it winter? Hint, Valerie, maybe there's one in this picture.
That's a good guess, or that's a good hint. Maybe it's a tree in the background.
Maybe. I doubt it, though. Not one of the options. The answer is white bear. Yes, that's confusing people. But yeah, white bear. A lot of names are related to animals and sort of their impact on Indigenous peoples across Canada. It's quite a sort of fundamental thing about Canadian landscapes is how tied to animals different groups are for thousands and thousands of years. So there you are. Fuzzy Macaw has a pretty good lead going to our final question for all the marbles. Barren ground grizzly bear. That's hard to say. Barren ground bears are carnivores, herbivores, omnivores, or pescatarians. What do we think? I'll give you a hint. All bears are this. To my knowledge, actually, that's not entirely true. Other than pandas, all bears most bears are omnivores. They eat a little bit of everything. Whatever's out there, they want to have a snack. That's fantastic. A lot of you got this right. Let's check our leaderboard, and then we are going to head to our Tribune Drive Public School in a minute. Fuzzy Macaw came in third. No, what happened? Good job. Nice try. It's fantastic. Melodic Wildcat is second. And first, throwing off our leaderboard entirely and winning is Brave Gazelle. Hello, everybody. You guys are awesome. Thank you all so much for playing. And we're going to head to Tribune Drive. Come on in for a question for Valerie. Hey, guys.
Hurry.
You're going to take it.
Okay.
How do you track the male polar bears?
That's a really good question. How do we track the male polar bears? Honestly, it's usually through the trail cameras. So, like I said, these, since you obviously know this, but since we can only put these on the females, the male polar bears, we mainly track them through the trail cameras and through aerial surveys. That's a really good question.
That is a really good question. And we're going to be coming back for a second with you. Miss Smith had to go. That's the end of their afternoon before lunch. So, Miss Mustard, feel free to come back. And then YouTubers, if you guys want to chime in with questions, please do. We'll take as many as we can over the next little bit together. But welcome back.
How many species are in the Wapusk National Park?
Nice.
How many species of just animals as a whole?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even think I have a number for that because we have everything. We have polar bears, then we have big polar bears, and then we have lemmings. So honestly, a ton is what I could say. Don't have a specific number though. That's a good question.
Well, and for what it's worth, it's really interesting, but pretty much universally, like we have not discovered all the species in any national park. That's one of the joys of research is that wherever we go on planet Earth, whether it's the Arctic or rainforest or the deep ocean, we're always finding new things. So big things like bears and caribou, we know that they're there at this point. Yeah. But things like wolverines, great example. You guys all knew this, but like we've had Wolverine scientists on our program that have spent 20 years and they've seen 2 Wolverines in the wild. Like there are animals, there are creatures, and there are small things, certainly like insects and beyond, that are really challenging to find. So I love this question very, very much, guys. Thank you for that. Valerie, you mentioned, of course, that this is a research park, and one of our questions is about how many people are in the park at any given time. You show one of these bases with 20 folks, but what's the deal?
That's a good question. So they actually, when they go into the park, it's a whole event. So that means they have to take those days off. They obviously aren't sleeping at home anymore. They have to sleep within the camp. It depends. We do have some programs with different universities and different high schools, actually, that do go. When it comes to the researchers, it's usually about 5 people. And a cool little fact is usually when they're outside in the field, they always have a bear monitor who does have a weapon with them. And it's just kind of, it's just kind of like a firecracker. That just, if a bear does come and they're just a little curious on why they're there, it kind of just makes them go in the other way. But there's usually about 5 or so people. There's not a big team.
Yeah, fascinating. Thank you for that very much. It's such a rare situation for a Parks Canada site, so I'm glad we got the chance to cover it. We're going to head back to Miss Mustard in a minute. 2 quick ones from YouTube. Are there any endangered or animals that have gone extinct in the park from Miss McIntosh's group?
Oh, wow. Extinct is a good question. I'm not too sure about that one, but many of the animals that we do have in the park are endangered. Moose, caribou, especially caribou, for sure. We're really focusing on that right now, which is actually why a lot of the trail cameras were put up. You have 92 trail cameras right now just looking at the caribou and ensuring that they're okay. Like I said, climate change, bugs are very annoying. Human interferences. So there's a lot of endangered animals, but I'm not sure if any of them have gone extinct.
Yes. Well, and for what it's worth, we're in the really early stages on a global scale of tracking animals when they go extinct. That's actually very difficult research to prove and do. So this is an answer that pretty much no one has offhand for any park. So I'm really glad we got that question. Miss Backmeyer wants to know, what do Wolverine dens look like? That's an interesting one. Do we know?
Oh, I see. I actually just learned that they also do kind of like a polar bear. They do kind of like the underground den in snow. So that's a huge reason why climate change is also affecting affecting wolverines because they also need snow to make dens for their babies. But I'm not exactly sure what they look like. I assume it's just a hole they do in the ground. They dig. They have crazy nails. So I'm assuming they just dig in snow and make their little house in there.
We just brought up a website, wolverinewatch.org. You can see some of the dens from the outside where it is just literally a hole in the snow, like Valerie's mentioning. And literally for the first time ever, the BBC, so like the elite nature broadcasters in the world, finally have a Wolverine baby on camera. That's something that I had never seen. I don't think anyone had ever seen. It's a new series coming out fairly soon. So if you want to see a Wolverine mother and their baby, some really, really cool stuff coming out of that den and beyond. So,
and that reminds me, actually, is that although Wolverines like to be alone, when they are parents, they are great parents. I believe it's until they're 3 years old that the mom and dad will stay around, make sure they grow up nicely. But they're really cute parents. But once they're adults, they like to be left alone.
Fascinating. Thank you very much for that extra context.
Yeah.
Miss Mustard, we're going to wrap up with you guys in just a second. I want to note for everyone, check out our whole Cross Canada virtual road trip. There's so much more to explore and discover. Check out the Canadian Geographic Education page. I'm going to email all our classes for this in just a minute. And I just want to say a big thank you to you all. We're going to bring in our class and say thank you and farewell in a minute, Valerie. But this has been so much fun for me personally. So really appreciate the opportunity. And we'll wrap up with Tribune Drive. Come on back in and take us away, folks. Bye.
How far can polar bears see?
How far can polar bears see? Oh, that's a great question. I am not sure about how far they can see. What I can tell you is that they can walk for a very long time, although they don't like to walk as much because a walking bear takes 13 times more energy than a bear that's still. So that's why they like to kind of be lazy when they hunt seals and just kind of watch the snow or watch the ice in the water and wait for a seal to pop up. But I'm sure polar bears have amazing vision.
They certainly do. I was going to say, we did a program on polar bear biology. James Hansen joined us on our YouTube channel. So if you want to look up that name on our YouTube channel, hear about some of their senses. Smell is their main sense. They are way more effective at smelling things than a bloodhound is, than any of the other animals you think of when you think of great sniffers. Polar bears have them absolutely beat. They have to smell seals from a mile away under 5 feet of ice. It's quite an incredible trick. So that's mainly how they find these. But I love that question, guys. Thank you so much. Valerie, before we wrap up, this has been so much fun. Is there any final message you want to share with us about the park, about the hearing the magic of the Arctic? Anything to leave us off with today?
I will say, if you ever get the chance to go to Churchill, even see a bit of the national park with a scientist or with a group, definitely do so. It's one of those things that you usually don't get to do. So if you get the chance, go do it. But I know you guys are pretty young in the classrooms at least. But once you're in university, if there's a program to do it, definitely come up and see the park.
Yeah, Valerie, no better method than that. I've been to Churchill. It's one of the most magical places I've ever been on planet Earth. You can get there in Canada. It's wild. You can take a flight from Winnipeg. It's magnificent. Go tomorrow. We are going to wrap up there. Thank you all so much. Hopefully you can join us for the rest of our road trip series and get to Wapusk in the future and nearby. Miss Mustard class, thank you for being such a great audience. I'm going to bring you in to say thank you and farewell with me. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye for now, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.